Kia ora te whānau. Welcome everybody to another episode of The Warriors. Warriors fans unleashed. And so tonight we're coming to you Wednesday night on the night of the first State of Origin game. And just wanted to go through the team lineups and tell you what I think about it. Drop comment in comments there as to whether you're going for Blues or for the Queensland team. So let's go through the lineups, okay? And I'll tell you what I think about them, all right? And there's some weirdness going around in 2026 when it comes to the NRL teams and just the whole atmosphere. There's a few weird things going around. I might talk about that later, but so let's just talk about the lineups. Firstly, James Tedesco at fullback. What the hell's going on here, mate? I think he's one of the most overrated players in New South Wales, but this is typical of how New South Wales have to pick their teams when they lose. They always pick overrated players based on experience, and that's actually not how Origin is won. It's not just those sort of things, you know. If you're going to be a fullback, you need to bring some X factor, and you look who Queensland have at fullback, right? They've got Kalen Ponga. That's X Factor, right? James Tedesco, you think, oh yes, he's smoking his pipe there in the background. Gets picked again because he had a couple of good moments. You see, experienced players like James Tedesco, they get picked because, they know what to do. But that doesn't mean that the way that they play is enough to compensate for he's slower than usual. He's not as fast as he used to be. A little bit selfish at times. No, I'm just kidding. The main thing about it is that, he's an old fella now. And there's some new players with a lot more spark, and I don't think the experience is as much as it, doesn't play as much weight as it used to. Because today you've got to have a fit body even to get through 60 minutes of footy these days. So I think it's just he's overrated. Dylan Edwards, at the very least, should have been there at fullback for New South Wales. You could even argue Keanu Kinney. I'm going a little bit out there now, I know. But I mean, if you're going to have Casey McLean on the in reserves, then where's the limit? Anyway, going at wing, you've got Brian To'o. He's the GOAT when it comes to wingers in rugby league in the modern game. So can't fault that. Stephen Crichton, of course, a leader, someone who can actually take the game on his shoulders and win it by himself almost. And he did that for the Bulldogs last year, if you remember, during one of those late season games, and he scored about 2-3 tries himself. And I can't remember which game it was, but he carried the Bulldogs on his shoulders for that particular game, and you can't leave him out. He's an X factor, big fella with speed and strength. Katuni Staggs. If you'd asked me a couple of years ago, should Katuni Staggs be in the team, I would have said yes. I would have definitely put him in the team a couple of years ago, 3 years ago. Now, his form has been solid without being blockbusting. I would definitely have Casey McLean in there instead. Simply because Casey McLean, there is no body, there is no defender yet in any NRL team that has contained him sufficiently to say that he couldn't break out at any moment in the game. All right, and with the people that would be around him, I think he would have made more sense. But I have a theory as to why he's not starting, and the same reason why Britain Nikora is not starting for the Queensland side. There is a reason, and I have a theory, okay? But coming back to centre, I don't know, is Latrell Mitchell injured? I heard he was injured, but yeah, I would have definitely had Latrell Mitchell. I don't care what you think about his consistency. Origin's not about the most consistent player. It's about the players that are passionate and want to win the game the most. You know, the people that actually go hardest, you know, go play above themselves. And the Latrell Mitchell's definitely one of those fellas. Cometh the hour, cometh the man. He gets bored during the year because if it's not a game that excites him, that's just him. He's inconsistent. He's a passionate player. You gotta really get him motivated. And Origin is the perfect stage for somebody like that with tons of passion. Can be a bit difficult to manage. And I'm just putting it out there for real, Indigenous people, used to being sovereign, not being pushed around and actually being allowed to be themselves. That's essentially Indigenous. Anyway, you know what I mean, If you're Indigenous, you know what I mean. And then you've got on the wing, Tolutau Koula. Well, this is the other confusing thing for me is he's been playing gangbusters in the centres for Manly, and he's been carving up like nobody else in the centres there, and he's playing wing. So I don't know what that's about. I guess it's they think they have three centres, and they don't have a very compelling winger available. I can think of a few wingers who could be put there instead. But Koula, when he's hot, he's bloody hot, eh? He's hot. He's spicy. So, who knows? Could come off for them. Usually you have an Ado Carr somewhere, but I guess Brian To'o's taking that position. I think Ado Carr might be injured, in fact, maybe. Drop a line in the comments if I'm going wrong here. But Ethan Strange at 5'8". Yeah, it's not really. I mean, you got all these different players playing out of position, according to commentators in Sydney. Lockie Galvin, what's his name? For some reason they got Mitch Woods, young up and comer, but they got Lockie Galvin and they wanted Luke Metcalf. Yeah, it's interesting. But Ethan Strange, I don't have any complaints about Ethan Strange. He's a good 5'8". He has X Factor. Nathan Cleary, of course, the GOAT, the best halfback in the league in terms of consistency and complete playerness. Adam Fornua Blake. Definitely one of the best props. And here's one of the weird things, right? Who's his propping partner for New South Wales? Mitch Barnett. Weren't those two our propping partners back in 2022? 2023? Up the wires! Yep, the two Warrior boys, propping up the New South Wales team. Reece Robson at hooker there. Yeah, he's okay. New South Wales kind of lacking an X Factor hooker, eh? Who would you have at hooker instead of Reece Robson? He'll do for me at the moment. Nobody comes to mind that stands out, except Wade Egan. Like, I would put Wade Egan ahead because Wade Egan's got the smarts and he's really good at the completion rule, right? This year, he's been in his element. He's been pushing the Warriors forwards and the whole team forward because the repeat sets are actually suiting his type of game because he's always good at catching the markers out, eh? And I just think that Wade Egan he was hard done by, as was Jackson Ford, eh? It's just it's kind of annoying how they go, Dally points systems going behind closed doors now. It's like, why? Is it to say that doesn't matter what the points were when they went behind the curtain? We're now going to just choose ourselves who we want to be the pin-up boy at the end of the year. Because, that's what it really amounts to. Because if it was a fair competition, they wouldn't have to go behind closed doors, eh? Because we all know SJ should have won 2023 Daily M, eh? We all know that, eh? What a sour Warriors fan. Hey, but that's us, eh? So you got second row, Hudson Young was always going to be there, but having Haumuli Olokoatu, that guy a couple of years ago, I thought, man, this guy could be anything, man. He is the most unstoppable forward in the game as far as I'm concerned. The only thing we got close to that is maybe in a couple of years we'll have Bishop Neal from the Warriors. He will be another giant unstoppable force. But Hamule, as far as I'm concerned, he is the most unstoppable forward in the game today. Isaiah Yao, yeah, he's he's always going to be there. He's like Nathan Cleary. You don't have a Blues team without Nathan or Isaiah. Anyway, Hudson Young, yeah, that's a really great back row right there, eh? You can't complain about that. And having Cam Murray on the reserves, what more could you ask for? And here's the one that the Aussie commentators have a bit of a problem with is Victor Radley. Such an out there kind of choice, eh? And then Jacob Saifiti. It's interesting, eh? It's just like, yeah, Saifiti. When was the last time he played Origin? Has he been in good form? Is it just because the Knights have been doing well this year? I don't know, but Jackson Ford, hello, Jackson Ford. The wrong J is there. Jackson Ford, how many tries has he scored this year? Always over 150 meters, post-contact meters. He's usually right there at the top. What more would he have to do? 50 tackles a game sometimes. So it's like, how does he miss out? I don't know. Blake Brayley, yeah, one of the fittest guys around, so I guess yeah. Then you got Casey McLean, Dylan Lucas, and Matt Burton on the bench. Even Matt Burton, I probably would have put him in at centre ahead of. I wouldn't have put him ahead of Tony Staggs. Because Tony Staggs is solid, and he will test you the whole game at least. So yeah, whereas let's have a look at the Queensland side. What do you think of the Queensland side? Kalen Ponga, Selwyn Cobbo, Robert Toya, Hamiso Tabuai Fidel, JJ Fifita, Cameron Munster, Sam Walker, Thomas Flegler, Harry Grant, Tino Fasuma Liawe, Ruben Cotter, Kurt Capewell, and Max Plath, and on the bench, Britton Nikora, Lindsay Collins, Patrick Carrigan, Trent Loiero. Yeah, really? Ezra Mam. I don't mean mammogram, okay? Gehamet Shibasaki, Sakimota, Kulikefu, Finefiuaki, Fiuyaki. That's how you actually say it. So, yeah. So, I mean, I look at these teams, right? And I think, New South Wales always go for one or two standout leaders, experienced, hardened Origin players. And, they try to go for the solo heroes in between that, right? But this year, Rugby League is different in the NRL. With these repeat sets, teams are going for fitness. The younger you are, the quicker you're going to make a debut in the NRL, right, in first grade, because it's becoming a young man's game. It's becoming a game where the fittest and strongest, survive. And those who are getting older and bigger and slower, they're falling by the wayside. And look at how many ACL injuries are coming about these days, right? Because the game is hard, man. You don't last very long at your peak in this game. And I look at New South Wales, and that's what I see. I see James Tedesco overrated. Katuni Staggs. I mean, can somebody tell me why? I'm guessing that Herbie Farnworth has made himself unavailable. Wasn't interested. Must be England only for him, I'm thinking. I know Jerome Hughes said he wasn't interested because for him it was Kiwis or nothing. Pretty much, it didn't interest him. He didn't feel right. So that's pretty cool. Even though considering, I think pretty sure he was either he was born over in Australia or he might have went over when he was young. But interesting. But yeah, the forwards are pretty good. The back row and in the front row is pretty good for the Blues. But Victor Radley, he's playing, but Herbie Farnworth isn't playing. Or would Herbie Farnworth be? I think he might be Queensland, but he's not in Queensland either. So we've got Kalen Ponga at fullback for Queensland. We've got Selwyn Cobbo and Jojo Fifita. He's a South Islander. He was born in the South Island. So that's interesting, But he made his Kiwis debut last year during the Pacific Cup. So that's interesting, isn't it? But their centres, wow, Robert Toia, Hamiso Tabuai Fidel. I mean, that's speed and chariots of fire type of style, running style. Robert Toia, he's a class act. How do the Roosters find these players, man? How do they get these and keep them under the salary cap? Joey Manu, Joseph Suali'i, Robert Toia, Mark, what's his name? Nawikana Nazi. Man, it's amazing, But Robert Toia, class act. Hamiso Tabuai Fidel, nobody has really run him down yet in the NRL. So, that's a really good backline. Jojo Fifita, probably a bit of a strange one. But then again, what about Murray Taulangi? Why wasn't he picked? He's a highly rated winger and a Queenslander. So yeah, Selwyn Cobbo, well, he's a big fella on the wing. He's had a couple good seasons with the Finns. So yeah, all G. Cameron Munster. Funny thing is, Billy Slater said he picked on form. Well, I think Cameron Munster's only had about 2 good games this year. Oh, okay, it was the last 2 games, but interesting how he said that, Billy Slater. Sam Walker, people are thinking that, well, let's talk about the glaring omission in the Queensland team. Reece Walsh. Where the hell is Reece Walsh? Now, I'm going to give you my point of view. When the Warriors beat the Broncos, it was obvious to me that the Broncos were never going to overcome the Warriors because the Warriors were better than the Broncos, right? And I never felt like Reece Walsh was ever going to break out. Last year and the year before, I always felt like Reece Walsh was going to break out against the Warriors. So if you want to pick on form, you would not pick Reece Walsh. However, based on form, yep, these players are on form, they're in form. But in Origin, like I say, you want to pick the best players, the ones who can play tough football, who can, be a difference maker in a game. Kalen Ponga, we know he can be a difference maker. Selwyn Cobbo, he can finish a try. Not many players actually stop him from behind. Robert Toia, Hamiso Tabuai Fidel, that's X Factor all across the park right there. Jojo Fifita, he's a good player, but I think his best days are ahead of him. Sam Walker, I do think that Roosters players get mentioned a lot as if they're superstars before they become superstars. I don't think he's all that, to be honest. I don't even know what people see in him, to be honest. I would have put Kalen Ponga on at halfback, and I would have had Reece Walsh at fullback, No questions asked. It's not even close. I would be even tempted to go hammer. So, I'll put the hammer at fullback and Reece Walsh at wing even, or maybe even centre. Swap with hammer. So, yeah, you got to have that X factor, those players. And Reece Walsh has proven it time and time again that when the big moments come around, he's there and he can make something out of nothing. And you have him. But the thing is with the Broncos, always with the great Broncos sides, very much like the Storm spine, you have to have them together. When you put them together, there's magic. When you have them in isolation, there's not the same chemistry. They're not connected in the same way, right? See, it's funny thing is because I think it was might have been Freddie Fittler mentioned. He's mentioned in the past about putting players that have combinations already together in the New South Wales team. I see merit in that. I definitely see merit in that. But when you look at the team, I don't see much connection here in the New South Wales team. It's a hodgepodge of the best individuals. I don't see a connection except for Nathan Cleary and Isaiah Yeo. You got Max Plath there from the Dolphins, but there's nobody in the there's nobody else there that would go with him except Thomas Flegler. Okay, yeah, but do you really need a combination between a prop and a 13? They're both middle forwards. You got Tino, arguably not in the best. Even he says himself not in his best form at all. So was that on form? It's just so many of these selections just don't make sense to me. Pat Carrigan, yep, definitely. In fact, I'm kind of surprised he's not starting at 13. I think he's a strong 80-minute player. Max Plath, I think he should be on the bench because I think he can actually provide some good pep when the rest of the forwards and that are tired. I think he's pretty good off the bench. Britta Nikora, yep, I'd have him on the bench too with the players that you have because Kurt Capewell and Ruben Cotter, you've got two traditional Origin style players. They're hard buggers, eh? Even Tino and Flegler, you got some big hard men there. Ruben Cotter's not huge, but he's everyone knows he'll be playing till the 81st minute, and past that he'll keep playing when no one else is playing. And then Kurt Capewell as well, Mr. Reliable. Week in, week out, he shows the young fellas at the Warriors what the standard is. He's going right till the end, right till the 80th minute, even if we're 40 points ahead. That's Kurt Capewell. Britta Nikora. When Billy Slater got up and he started to talk about Britta Nikora and where he's from, he came over to Australia and he's 9 years old. Already right there, bro, you've blown the state of origin myth out of the water now. So it's, should Kiwis be in the origin matches? I used to say just do it so that Kiwis would play for the Kiwis. That was my only thing, but I think as far as origin goes, I think that's part of the awkwardness. It feels like, like these players are just being put there. Out of all the Kiwis that could have played for Queensland, was Britta Nikora the best one? The only one? I think there's a few more, and I think they're just a little too shy to go too hard on having too many foreigners, non-Australians, people that play international football for another nation in an origin team. So they're sort of like blooding them in slowly and getting used to the getting people used to the reaction. And I think you're going to find that this year, if it's a hard game, people will still be on board. But I think you're going to have plenty of chatter from the Aussie media, about whether Origin is Origin anymore. Regardless of the results, I think you're still going to have those conversations. And when you have bad games, they're going to put it down to, if it seems like the atmosphere is pretty low, they're probably going to put it down to that, and that's going to be a question again. Trent Loiero on the reserves. In a struggling Melbourne Storm team where he's already, sort of an average player. He'll never replace Ali Katoa. Ezra Mam, yep, can definitely see the benefit of Ezra Mam, but I really think that if you had, instead of Sam Walker, you put Kalen Punga at 7, you put Reece Walsh at fullback, you keep Cam Munster at 6, but then at half time you swap one of those for Ezra Mam, or you take Plath off from 13 and put on Ezra Mam to run there, or take off Ruben Cotter and put Ezra Mann in. That's what I think, because I think Origin is won by those moments where just one moment of genius is going to win that game when they're close. And usually the first game, when it's in New South Wales, it's very, very close. Less than 8 points, I think it is. So that's what I would do. I would have, just going back, I would say I would have Kalen Punga at 7. I would put Reece Walsh at 1. I'd keep Cam Munster at 6, but then probably after half time, or maybe after 50 minutes, I would put Ezra Mam on. Maybe after 60 minutes, I'll put Ezra Mam on and see how we go. Because to me, Reece Walsh and Ezra Mam together, that's when the magic starts to happen for the Broncos. And I think Adam Reynolds is not actually part of the magic. He's somebody who just adds a flavor, not a flavor, a component to the ingredients or to the recipe that the others don't have, which is a good goal kicking or good kicking game. But Reece Walsh and Ezra Mam are very capable of doing enough kicking to win a game, because the running game will make up for it. So yeah, that's my take. Harry Grant will probably be number 9. He is the next Cameron Smith, the one that plays hooker for Queensland for his whole life. But yeah, I like the back row. I like the back row of Queensland. Reminds me of the days when Brisbane used to stack their team with stubby little locks / second rowers like Alan Cann and Mark Hone. And you had later on you had John Plath at lock, and now you got Max Plath playing lock. So there's some symmetry there, and or a parallel. Lindsay Collins off the bench, that's pretty mighty. That guy could start, but he's coming off the bench and he's a big sucker. But he's this is a lot of energy sapping that they have in the Queensland side. They're going to sap the energy. They're going to outlast the New South Wales forward pack. Trent Loiero, I suppose, he's a journeyman, so he'll do. Shibasaki and Fine Feiuaki, those two, okay. And Fine, he's pretty spectacular off the bench, so it would be good if he actually played instead of Loiero. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I've gone on for a long time. I think New South Wales are shot. I don't think they're going to win this series. I don't think they have a hope in hell. If they do, it'll be off the back of Stephen Crichton and Kotoni Staggs being outstanding. James Tedesco, yeah, he gets overhyped by the commentators. Kohler, I'm sure you'll see before the end of the series, you'll see a couple of Kohler moments that will just take your breath away. Doesn't mean that New South Wales will win though. I still think Queensland going to win. Which I'm wondering actually if I'm going to change allegiance, because I'm kind of tired of all these years of dumb New South Wales selections, because they just always go for the stars, but they don't go for connectedness. The 1 or 2 years that they did that, we won. Yeah, anyway. Probably what reason why I'm not the coach. Anyway, fun. I hope you enjoyed that little banter. I'm just a fella from Kelston, and I've got a few opinions about rugby league, especially the Warriors, the Waz. Tell me what you think about Queensland. Tell me how wrong I am, because I probably am. But yeah, what do you think of those lineups? Yeah, it's just, for me, it's just a very awkward selections there. But I think Queensland have the best one. Have the best one there. I just have this feeling that the selectors were influenced by the NRL or someone up above, because yeah, it's just disjointed. Yeah. Anyway, I've got more to say, but I'll put it into my Warriors video next day. Kia ora whānau. Hope you enjoy the game tonight. I hope you yeah, not too sad tomorrow. Okay, make sure you go to work. Okay, don't have a sickie. What am I talking about? Have a sickie if you can. Okay, whānau. Up the wires!